In this video, we're going to be going over the 3D graph orientation inside of ExcelDraw. Before we get started, in case you would like to try ExcelDraw out for yourself, the link is going to be in the description down below, as well as we're going to have some links that come up in the corners that will allow you to download the application directly. In the previous videos, we have used this set of data to create our very own floor plan, and I'm going to do that exact same thing again very quickly. I'm just going to select all my data down through here, and I'm just going to click Smart Create. First, you may notice that it's not zoomed in. This is the window we're going to be looking at today, the 3D graph orientation. If you click on that, a new window is going to appear, and you're going to see lots of different options here. The first thing we're going to look at is the zoom, which is right here. This little scroll bar in the middle of the screen has a negative and a plus. It's pretty straightforward. Whenever you scroll this bar more to the plus, you're going to be zoomed further in or closer to the drawing. And as you can see right here, we have a little blue box that also appears whenever we zoom in. It gets larger, so you can imagine this as being your drawing area or your graphing area. And you also may notice that whenever you zoom in closer, some of the boxes and some of the lines don't actually appear in the drawing. And that is because once ExcelDraw sees that the object is outside of the borders that it can draw, if the majority of it is outside of that border, then it's not going to draw it. You can fix this by either zooming out, or you can also stretch your graph and then regenerate your graph to allow for more area for ExcelDraw to plot in. You may also notice that the font is very large, with the exception of Bedroom 1 and Master Bath. And that is because if we scroll down, you can see that we have set both of those to be an overriding text value. So we have those text sizes set to be at 1. But the default text size is currently set to 4. That is all of the larger text that you see. Because we did not specifically specify what text size we wanted it to be, it's going to go off the default text size. You can change this to whatever size you want, and it will automatically adjust and fix your drawing to match that text size. Now, because the text size is so small that it would not actually populate, it just drew a line to represent it, so it wouldn't have to actually go in and calculate the distances and things like that. But we can adjust the different text size to be whatever default value we want. And the default value will come into play whenever you do not set a specific size for that text. The next thing that I would like to look at is going to be the line size. And I personally like to set my line size to 0. I think that it looks cleaner whenever you are plotting. This does not actually change how long it takes for your graph to repopulate. It just changes the line thickness of your drawing. Now, the next option that I wanted to look at is going to be the font style. And to better see this, I'm going to change the font style back down. Let's change it to 2.5, the default text size. That way it's going to be a lot easier for us to understand the differences between the font styles. Now, whenever you export your drawing into a DXF reader, whatever the default text font is for that application is what's going to show up whenever you export it. So the font that you see here is not going to be the final font. If you want to change this font, you can change the font style from 2 to 1. The default font style set at 2 is very simple polygons. It's very simple points. There's not very many of them, and it loads much quicker. But if you change it to font style 1 is more curved, it has more data points, therefore it looks cleaner. However, it takes longer to render whenever you have a lot of text on there. So as you can see, this looks much cleaner than font style 2. So if you mouse down right underneath the zoom bar, you can click access arms. And what this is going to do, it's going to generate a little display down at the bottom left of your graph. And it's going to show you approximately where you're looking at the graph. So for instance, this in the default location is going to be positive Y is at the top left, while positive X is at the bottom right. And you are in the positive Z, or the camera is in the positive Z looking down. This is also representative here in the rotations, which is what we're going to be covering next. If you are rotating this around and you'd like to look at a different angle, you can move these little scroll bars and it will adjust the different angles that you're looking at. And whenever you do that, it's also going to adjust your view angle down at the bottom with the different axes. So you can see in different areas and rotations of your drawing. Now you're not going to be able to see it very well here simply because this is a 2D drawing only using X and Y. It does not include the Z values, but you can see how the Z values could be used and how you can rotate this around. Now let's say that you have just rotated your graph around, you're a little bit disoriented, you don't exactly know where everything is located at as far as the ground is concerned. You can actually toggle on a ground layer, which is right here, and it'll appear on your axis chart as well as on your drawing, so you can better understand in space where your drawing is located at. Now we're going to get into panning. And panning in Excel Draw is pretty straightforward. It's the same thing with the rotations up at the top. You can pan with these scroll bars down at the bottom. And whenever you do that, you will notice that the little blue box that indicates where you're at on your drawing also moves as well. So it kind of gives you a good idea of where you're at in space in relation to your drawing. The next things that I wanted to look at is these buttons over on the left hand side. These are preset rendering locations for the camera, so in case you want to specifically view something at a certain angle, these are preset for that. So if you click top view, it's automatically going to replace your camera back at the default location. Bottom view is the same thing, it's just reversed. With this current drawing, if we do front view, you're just going to see a simple line. Same thing with the side view and back view, simply because this is a flat drawing. But the next one I want to look at is 3D view. And 3D view is great for whenever you have a 3D object and you want to render it in 3D space and you don't want to just look at it straight down. It puts it at a nice corner angle for you. And finally, with these buttons, if you want to go back to the default location and zoom and default everything else, you can just click default values. This will reset everything back to the default that it was whenever you first opened Excel Draw. However, when you do that, it also means that you need to re-zoom into your drawing because it reset the zoom value as well. Now, the next thing I wanted to look at is going back to the XYZ rotations, which is if you don't like to use the scroll bars to rotate, you can actually use this little red icon. This kind of acts like a drag and drop for rotation. And if you're more akin to rotating that way, for instance, if I drag this and I drag it up, you can see it moves the scroll bars in the correct rotation, and it will actually take the drawing and rotate it in that direction as well. You can use this to rotate your drawings. Now, the downside of using this is whenever you have more objects to graph, it takes a little bit longer to do that, but it also it has more of a visual feedback as to how to rotate your drawings. The final thing we're going to look at in the 3D graph orientation is the origins. So by default, Excel Draw will automatically calculate the distance between the lowest object and the highest object in both X, Y, and Z locations, and it will set the default origin as being the dead center or whatever your drawing is. So for instance, right now we have the X at 15.5, Y at 21, and Z at 0. So that is the dead center of the drawing. If you would like to change this, we have a custom origin set to 0, 0, 0. So you can click that and it will change it to the bottom corner where it is at a 0 location. Or you can select custom origin and you can set your custom origin right here. So you can set this to be whatever you want it to be. Whenever you click set origin, it'll update the drawing and it'll move it to whatever that origin is. In the next video, we're going to be covering custom graph settings inside of ExcelDraw. In case you would like to follow along with us, the link is in the description down below. We've also had links for the download peppered throughout the video. If you have any questions for me, please leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe so you can stay up to date with all of our great technical videos and ExcelDraw tutorials. Thank you all very much. Have a great rest of your day.